Hi there. In this QuickBooks Online video, we'll quickly look at creating various accounts payable transactions. That is, any transactions that involve our vendors. So we'll start with checks. So to create a check, we can choose expenses, new transaction, and check. Inversely, we can choose click directly on expenses, new transaction, and check. Now a check will allow us to pay at the time of purchase, also known as a COD purchase. So we can use our petty cash, a cash box, debit card, check, whatever you like. So I'm going to be buying a check from Hicks Hardware. I'm going to be buying an item from Hicks Hardware. We're going to be the end consumer of this item. It's not something we're going to later resell. Hicks Hardware, I'm just going to use checking. I'll use today. I'll print the check later. That allows us to print all of the checks at once in a batch. This will be some warehouse shelving. We'll use an account called Leasehold Improvements. It doesn't presently exist, so I'm going to type in Leasehold Improvements. Again, it doesn't pop up in the list, so I can continue on. So we'll create an account on the fly. Pops up the task pane on the side. It's going to be called Leasehold Improvements. The account type will be fixed assets, and detail type will be Leasehold Improvements. Again, we can give it a balance if we like. We'll look at that later on. And I'll choose save. So we'll be buying some warehouse shelving. And the amount is $289.95. And there's no place for an invoice number at the top half, but we can add an invoice number down in the memo if we wish to retain one, which is a good idea for a source document. And we'll choose save and new. So we've got save and close, and save and new. So it posts that previous transaction and gives me a new blank transaction screen. So for this next check, I'll make a recurring check. So we'll be paying our phone bill. We do that once a month. Cal Telephone. I'll print later. It's coming from checking. We'll use telephone expense. Pops up. We don't have to create it. And we can say monthly phone bill. And that's $125. Now again, I'm going to save this transaction. That'll post it. It'll affect the various accounts. Again, it'll credit checking, debit the balance, debit the expense. I'll choose save, and I'll choose make recurring. So that leaves the information available for the recurring transaction. I'll call it Call Telephone. It'll be scheduled monthly. It's the 10th right now, so you can leave it as the first if you like. I'm going to just go ahead and change it to the 10th. And next start date will be May 10th. We've already posted one for April 10th. And we'll probably always have a phone so that it will never end. And we can go ahead and save template. The next transaction I'll look at is a purchase order. So a purchase order allows us to order from one of our vendors, and then we can use that order to complete a bill. So again, we can find that under expenses, and then new transaction, purchase order. So we're going to order something from Norton Lumber. And I'll use yesterday. And we're buying some stuff for resale, so we'll use the item detail. Notice that the item detail is pre-populated, so QuickBooks Online will retain the information from previous transactions for a vendor. You can turn this off. It's under Accounts and Settings in the gear icon. So I'm going to clear all of this stuff. And then I'm going to buy 10 bags of soil. And 10 sprinkler heads. So I should say order. And 10 sprinkler pipes. And I'll save and close. So if you look up your expenses, it'll show you all of the transactions you have for all of your vendors, and you see it includes checks, purchase orders, credit card expense, bill, purchase, all of the transaction types. So you can find your purchase orders here as well. Or if you look at your vendor, again, Norton Lumber, you'll see that we have all of the transactions for that vendor as well. I'll just go back to my dashboard. So I'll create a new bill for Norton Lumber. So we can just choose expenses, bills, add bill, create bill, or again, we can choose expenses, new transaction, bill, however you like to get there. And again, we get that autofill pane. I'll investigate that later. Look, it's compelling though. And when I pick up Norton Lumber, all of the open purchase orders, that is the purchase orders that haven't been filled, will pop up in this task pane on the right. So we only have one, so we could just add this one or add all. If you have more than one purchase order, first of all, before you do this, make sure you clear all lines. That's important. So make sure you have a blank bill before you add your purchase orders, and then I'll choose add all. Again, if you had more than one, it would add those ones too. I'm going to change the date to today. And generally we have 30 days to pay, depending on your terms. And I'm going to go ahead and add a invoice number. Say Norton Lumber 1234. And save and close. So now if I create a bill for Norton Lumber, you see nothing pops up on the right hand side. This populates from the last one, but there's no open purchase order, so nothing pops up. So I'm going to create another purchase order. So I'll choose again expenses, new transaction, purchase order, and this is for Lamelli or Lamelli, however you pronounce that. We don't presently have a Lamelli, so I'll add them. Prompts me to add some more information. I'm going to go ahead and add the company name and save. In real life, I'd add a lot more if I had the time. This will be for today, and I'm going to buy a cherub statue. We don't presently have one. We added one in a previous lesson, but again, this is session based, it doesn't stick. Try that again. Oh, it didn't pop up my pane when I hit tab, so I guess we have to choose add new cherub. That was unexpected. And inventory. And this will be statute category. We have 0 in hand as of 2 days ago. In previous versions, if I used today as a date for the as of date for inventory, sometimes it did not allow me to use those inventory items in transactions. So I always go back a day because of that. I'm not sure if it still happens. Reorder point, not going to worry about that. And sales price is $300 and we pay $150. And I'll choose save and close. And we want 2 of those. And I also want to get a dragon. So I'm going to try this one more time. So when I hit tab, it does not add the dragon. I have to choose add new dragon. And this will be statues as well. And we presently have 0 as of 2 days ago. I'm not going to populate that, and we sell these for 400 and we buy them for 2. You always want to double your money, right? And save and close. And I'm buying 2 of those. Order, I should say. So my purchase order is complete. I'll go ahead and save and close. So again, I'm going to create a bill for Lamelli. So expenses, new transaction bill. Or you can go the other way. I pick up Lamelli or Lamelli. And that purchase order pops up. I'm going to add, but we're only receiving 1 dragon. And that's for today. And save and close. Now, when I open up another bill for Lamelli or any transaction, it could be a check, I go expenses, bills, add bill, create bill for Lamelli or Lamelli. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. You see there's 1 item left. You would have to clear these items first of all and then add that 1 item. Another way to convert a purchase order to a bill is we can go to expenses, I should say. You see we have a purchase order here for Lamelli or Lamelli, and if you click on the drop down here, we can copy the bill. Now the benefit of that is it does not populate this bill with the previous bill that we entered for Lamelli, so it just adds that 1 item. And I'll save and close. So if you make a mistake and you need to change a transaction, again, the steps are to find it and then you can just quickly change it. So if I just go to my expenses, it'll show me all of my transactions here. It turns out that we only received 8 bags of soil from Norton. So I'm just going to modify this bill here. So we can just open up the bill and change that to 8 and save and close. It tells us that this transaction you're editing is linked to others, so it's speaking of the purchase order. So I'll choose yes. It gets posted. Now if I create a new bill for Norton, because again that bill came from a purchase order, so if I go and create a new bill for Norton, it prompts us to add those 2 remaining bags again. So if we were to do that, we'd clear all lines, and then we could add those remaining 2 bags. So again, if you create a bill from a purchase order, then you modify the bill, it'll back order the quantities on the purchase order, so the purchase order will be regarded as not filled, and it'll come up anytime you create a bill or a check for Norton. Now, something that's similar but different is if we receive an item from a vendor but then we have to return the item or ask for a discount, we can create a vendor credit. So I'm just going to close my bill here. I'll go ahead and save that and create a new transaction. Again, expenses, new transaction, and we have vendor credit. So that is for returns and refunds. So return is if we return a damaged item and they credit our account. A refund is if we ask for a discount but we still keep the item. So we're gonna we're gonna return something from Lamelli, and we're gonna return one of those statues. And we can add a memo or description. I'll add both. So we needed to return that cherub statue because it was missing an eyebrow. Again, depending on where you put that detail in the description or the memo determines where it shows up on references to that transaction in reports and whatnot. And I'll choose save and close. Now, because we returned that statue, if we go and look at our products and services, another way to get there, by the way, this isn't always the case. They do change these quite a bit, so this may be in a different location in your version. But sales, products and services, again, gear icon, products and services, that's never changed in my experience working with the program. If I look at my cherubs now, you'll see since I returned one, we only have one left. We bought 2, we created a credit for 1, so it actually affected our inventory count. So it tracked the inventory on that level, which is very powerful. So there's a few reports for accounts payable or vendor. So reports, and then what you owe and expenses and vendors, that's all stuff to do with accounts payable. So we have what you owe, accounts payable aging summary, and detail summary. We'll just give you the totals. We can always drill down for the details. Details will show us all of the transactions that went towards the summary. We can't create a summary from a detail, but we can always drill down for the detail from the summary. So I always create the summary, never the detail. And this is a very common report, basically shows you how old the amounts that you owe are. So these are the current amount owing, and these are within a month old, and then this one's getting old. We should probably take care of that payment. We also have, we can just go back to standard reports here, and we also have bill payment list. So if I click on that, I haven't paid anything this month to date, but if you go back a month, I'll go custom dates, and I'll look at March. So those are all of the bills that we've paid. We also have bills and applied payments. So again, back to standard reports. And what you owe, bills and applied payments. So this will show you all of the bills that we created plus all of the payments towards those bills. And if we again look at reports, standard reports, we have a variety of other accounts payable reports as well that we can look at. Now, to pay the amounts that we owe, we can do that all in one fell swoop. We can just go to expenses, bills, and then under pay bills here. And we can choose which bills to pay. I'll pay from checking. And you notice that there's no credit applied for Lamelli presently, but when I choose all of these, I'm going to pay all of these bills at once. So I'll just click on the top arrow. We see the credit pops up when we go to pay Lamelli. And I'll click on my drop down here and save and close. Checking payment date. It's a check number has already been taken, so I'll print these later as a batch, and then we'll be good. Save and close. There we go. Now, if we want to actually print checks, not so common these days, just the check stock costs about $1 per check. I'll choose expenses, and print checks. I'll use standard, get more checks per sheet. Again, they cost $1 a page generally. Might be $1 a check. I haven't checked recently. And I'll say yes, finish with the setup. And print checks. And then I'll use checking, transaction type all. I'll say 1 for check number. And I'll preview and print. And it gives me a preview of what all of the checks look like. So you notice that there's no bank information. That'll come on the actual check stock, which you can order from Intuit. I'm not going to actually print these, but in real life I would have all of the check stock loaded into my printer on my desk, a printer that's not on the network, just for myself, and I'd print all of those checks. I'll say done, and I'm done with my checks. So again, that was a variety of accounts, payable transactions, checks, purchase orders, bills, and payments. Thanks so much for watching.